Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Sonar Academy. I'm Scott Heron, a director at Sonar, and really happy to do a session today around TikTok. I'll give you 2 seconds around the Sonar Academy and what it's all about and a little bit of ground rules. So we started the Sonar Academy in order to provide a little morsel of key insights in a short period of time, short and sharp, to allow people to learn a little bit and then get on with their day. In terms of Q&A, you can ask Q&A throughout, but we'll also leave a little bit of time at the end of this session for Q&A as well. So this session's topic is around Australian retailers and should Australian retailers introduce TikTok as part of the Christmas marketing strategy? And joining us to talk to this is Lucio. I've known Lucio for a long time. Lucio Ribera is a lecturer at RMIT. He's the founder of Lucio.ai and TikMyDay, which is a specialist agency around TikTok. And I think one of the only ones in Australia. Lucio, you want to tell a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, man. My background is advertising. It's shown my own agency for many years. Sold this at M&A a few years ago. I've been lecturing and teaching at MIT in digital marketing and artificial intelligence for the last 4 years. Also, former lecturer of TICAN in data and insights, and I founded Lucio AI. It's my own consultancy. Very creative name, very creative name. But there was just on the website I had it. So I operate around digital transformation and had any strategy for channels and strategy for branding, primarily in digital, of course, how the brand expresses itself. So a few of my clients are BMW Mini, AP. I've got a couple of different clients. I don't work with more than 3 clients every 6 months. And throughout the rise, I saw this opportunity as a channel. So I don't follow necessarily. I don't ask my clients to follow channels. I ask them to follow people. And I saw this big migration and this big adoption on TikTok as a channel. And then out of questions coming from primarily my clients around TikTok, the interest, I decided to team up with another friend of mine. I had a brand strategist called Sergio Brodsky. We started with TikMyDay, which we provide planning. It's not a strategy. There's no such a thing as a TikTok strategy. We provide just a plan on how to activate channels, the channel TikTok. And you're right, there's not many people around Australia like us in terms of TikMyDay and TikTok. They are what we can find here, and find some really good players on this space of influencers. They activate influencers and they utilize TikTok, while we provide much more from a media perspective of planning. How you plan and how you act on TikTok is not a strategy, it's planning.
Great, and we'll dive into that planning process in a lot more detail. But maybe let's start with just kind of like the overall context of looking at TikTok as a platform. So digital marketers in Australia, obviously there's loads of different things to choose from. To your point, the audience is in different places. Like what's with so many different platforms to choose from, can you argue the case for why TikTok?
Well, there are a few things here. Man. My first thing is TikTok is advertising. TikTok is not different from traditional media channels, Now that includes Google and Facebook, The strength of the channel here is, there is video, there's engagement, and make really good for brand awareness and reach, right? So I don't think necessarily, to be honest, man, we need to think about initially when I have these conversations, normally people ask me TikTok or Instagram, and I say, look, both, right? IPA studies and research championed by Mike Ritson has demonstrated the optimum number of channels is 5 for a market activation, and you need their reach. I mean, you cannot find, because of the fragmentation of all the channels now, you cannot find absolutely mass reach in one unique place. If anything became Google and Facebook, this absolute reach. So the beginning is, for me, is it's not a subtraction, it's an addition, it's a plus, it's both. That begins with that. Second reason, if that's not really a necessary reason, but the case of the relevance of TikTok is the fact that they do have critical audience. They have numbers coming from them. And again, just make this very clear. These are numbers. Every number mentioned here, it comes from TikTok themselves. So you gotta take this. I like TikTok, but I don't. You don't go to a barber and ask if you need a haircut, right?
I don't go to the barber, man.
You don't go at all, man. But you don't go to a hairdresser and ask the hairdresser if you need a haircut, right? They're gonna give you what you want to hear. So having said that, the numbers I know are coming from them. They have over 6 million people utilize the channel in Australia, active as being at least logged once a month on the channel. So they have a critical mass. And the interesting thing I will tell you here is 1 out of 4 people on the platform, active on the platform, cannot be reached on Facebook and Instagram, which became, Facebook and Instagram became, as a social channel, they became a go-to. They became the new version of TV that would be doing old marketers like you and I. We would appeal to TV as a critical mass. And TV still delivers a lot of value for marketers. It just doesn't deliver that critical mass any longer. But you can complement this critical mass out of Facebook, right, or Instagram. But 1 out of 4 on the TikTok platform, they cannot be reached.
Yeah, that's huge.
Outside. So you have 3 things. You have a extended reach. They can top up with a normal reach. You have a unique audience. All right. You have a platform that is absolutely positive compared to the other ones. The anti-hero. Now, the only reason villains exist is so we can have heroes. And if you think about the social landscape, Instagram became the villain. Facebook became the villain with political ads, with body issues, comparison, mental health, all this sort of stuff. To some degree, TikTok offered this novelty, this refresher of positivity. It is a very entertaining channel. So you have now, bring this together. Why TikTok? 6 million people, large audience. They can be your 50 plus in terms of media plan. You have uniqueness. You have 1 out of 4 that cannot be reached in another place. You have positivity as a general sense, the mindset. And we know out of studies that the environment where your ads show impacts directly the perception of your ads. The same ads showing up in a negative mindset, environment, next to bad news, for example, or a good ad, same ad showing up next to good news, you have a better equity, you have a better brand perception here. We know that. It's a bunch of studies on this. So a large audience, 6 million, unique audience, 1 in 4, positivity, and the fact that, I mean, even for ads, man, it's you have 100% share of screen, so it's a pretty good deal.
And what about all the negative stuff you hear about TikTok, though? So there's the negative stuff you hear around the data collection that they're gathering. There's a big open question around the acquisition in the US and the implications that might have. What's the impact that those things would have for an Australian marketer thinking about TikTok?
Yeah, man, great question. I mean, you cannot talk about TikTok without talking about all the negativity. You know what I mean? There's a lot of negativity across. I think that there are a few layers here, man. The first layer is the fact that social media, as general, has a brand issue. You know, there is a brand issue that it's connected to social as a general sense. The second thing is the fact that TikTok has a heritage problem, like a DNA problem. You know, like the Chinese, and we have all this politics carry on into the Chinese. So yeah, there is an element of there. TikTok is not alone in this. You know, Facebook, Google, all have been plagued with privacy concerns over the years and use of data. You know, in my opinion, a brand should be aware of that thing, but I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker. You know, The fact here is I like to understand, being an artificial intelligence practitioner in a lecture university, I get exposed to white papers and algorithms and all this sort of stuff. So I think there's a fundamental change here, man, a fundamental difference here. One is the algorithm, okay? The AI algorithm, like what promotes for you and for me and for users, for kids and teenagers to be seen. And that's a fundamental difference here. The AI algorithm for Instagram, primarily Instagram, Facebook and Instagram, primarily Instagram, they try to figure it out who you are. You know, they try to figure it out if you are 30 years old, if you're 20 years old, if you're 14 years old, your gender, where you live, who you are. What the algorithm on TikTok tries to figure out, what you like, what you're gonna be enjoying. And to be honest, man, this is way less scary, you know, way less scary. Trying to figure out the things I like, try to figure out who am I. And we understand that trying to present content of who you are on Instagram can have serious results, mentally speaking, and drive some certain behaviors that's not healthy, right? So we know also there's a study that came from LinkedIn, and I'll share with you later so you can send this to the audience. There's a study that came from LinkedIn Labs. They studied B2B data, and they came back with about 50% of all the data commercialized on the B2B it's wrong with basics demographics, you know, like gender. They don't even get the gender. It's just two options here. It's very binary, right? In the perspective of marketers. I'm not talking about the social perspective of gender. This is not a discussion around there, but in the perspective of marketers, it's just a very binary thing. The data is wrong. The age is really wrong. We're talking to people thinking they're advertising with in platforms like Instagram, Facebook. We're talking to advertising to 45 years old. We might be talking to people age 60 or age 20. So 1 in 2 data points are wrong, purely wrong. So the case of trying to figure out who you are didn't work, man. It's not working. It's better off to figure out what you like and things you might enjoy, much more a recommendation engine than a prescription engine, you know? So for that matters, it's a pretty long essay. Sorry, I'll summarize this. For what it matters is it's TikTok algorithm and the whole data privacy is one thing, and they work it out in local servers. There's a thing, so it means they become sovereignty discussions for Australia, for example. We're gonna get the point. Australia says, if you want to be here, you need to have a local hosting, and this will happen, and it's really good to happen. The other things about the algorithm, which is much more scary. The algorithm is TikTok works much more like a Netflix than actually Instagram. It's easier, it's closer to the Netflix. You also, people who watch these also gonna watch this. People who like this movie also gonna like this movie. It's way closer to that than that's from Instagram. So I don't think there is necessarily a deal breaker for marketers.
I think that's a really good and interesting parallel with like a Netflix and considering the algorithm based on their interest and what they're actually viewing from a video perspective. So can you talk to what are the ingredients for success on TikTok then? If it's about engagement and it's about what people are looking for, and I guess the flip side of that, what are some of the pitfalls in terms of using this platform and trying to get the most out of it?
Yeah, man. Look, there are a few things. The first one is I think I just need to get this out of my system, man. I think TikTok is just did a really, really, really bad move in the whole don't make ads proposition. I think it's just silly, stupid, and it doesn't help. You know, TikTok makes it sound harder than it is, right? With their don't make ads. It's a stupid position, to be honest. Very soon, TikTok, like Mark Ritson wrote a big article, it's on Market Week, but we've been banging on this for a few months now. You know, TikTok will soon review itself just another traditional ad business, you know, its own media strategy to make clear. Just like Facebook told us a decade ago, that advertising was dead because consumers were going to befriend brands. and all this stuff. This is just stupid. It confuses market. There's just hypocrisy claiming this position, consider that TikTok is doing this ad. The ad itself is good. There's nothing with there. I know the guys who created the ads. They're smart people. They know they're doing. It's the position. It's the strategy that's just stupid. Why is this stupid? Because it is an ad platform. You know, the measurement here, and I've been doing campaigns and I've been measuring these is, I think you can have really good reach over there. And that's a very effective and efficient, it's both effective and efficient way to have access share of voice. You know what I mean? So for those who are not familiar, and I believe your audience might be familiar, so apologies if I'm being pedantic in this concept, but access, there's a correlation between share of voice and share of market. If you dominate 3%, let's say 3% of share of voice with your advertising on a category, you tend to have 3% of share of the market on your category. That's the direct correlation. That's a little bit plus one, less one here. So if you increase share of voice, what we call access share of voice, if you punch above your weight here, eventually your share of market grows here. And I'm talking normal conditions without black swans and COVIDs and things like that, of course. So in this platform, you have a lot of ability to increase your access share of voice and eventually going to ramp up your share of market. You know, Optus run a campaign with over, it's about 70% ad recall. This is like, man, I haven't seen 70% ad recall since God knows how long. The other thing is, TikTok has this perception of an audience being very, very young. And the reality is just 20% of the audience is younger than 18 years old. So the creators on the platform, they are very young, you know, but the audience is passively older. You do have a big chunk of audience. It's still young. There are not many people over 50 on the platform, but there's a big chunk of growth around the 30-ish, which it's a great audience, man. I really like to advertise for baby boomers. There's a lot of money on baby boomers. So this whole thing about this audience is dead. It's stupid, silly. They buy gifts, they retail like crazy, they do things. But nonetheless, 30 years old is also very attractive. They're getting the first manager jobs. They already hit the 100+ salaries and so forth. They're becoming, they're turning families. They're buying SUVs. They're buying gifts for the whole family. So it doesn't matter, man, if you're selling winter clothes. They're buying. They're going on holidays, man. They snowing with the family, you know. So the fact is, I would say that the whole thing, there are few, for retailers particularly, which is the topic of today, there are few features already coming to the platform around retailing. So they have these, TikTok roll out these shoppable video ads for influencers. The shoppable ads will allow users to carry on the entire transaction process without ever leaving TikTok, which is a big barrier. Everything that you push people to leave the platform, because it's an entertainment platform. It's like stopping you to watch a Netflix to discuss relationship. I don't want to discuss relationships when I'm watching Netflix. I don't want to leave the app when I have entertainment. But these new shoppable ads, they're going to be allowing them to be placing. So having said that, I think the whole deal is how to be successful on the platform is understanding that the platform, the channel, TikTok, it's a plus. It's one that carries along with the other platforms. So you don't have a TikTok strategy, you have a TikTok plan. You have a business and a marketing strategy, and you have a plan, execution plan on TikTok. It's understanding that this is a primarily top of funnel, mid of funnel play. It's a media play. It's a media play. I saw a lot of clients and prospects calling me, and I'll wrap this up so we can move to the next question. But I saw lots of opportunities being missed by brands. They called me and they talked to me just because they had this in their mind that they need to create native content, very much platform orientated. They need to be raw and appealing to the platform. I say, yeah, you have some reasoning on there, I understand, but you get the biggest brand in the world, Apple, and you look what they do in TikTok now, they pretty much recut their ad, adapt to the platform, but they're running the ads there, man. It's their ads for iPhone 12. It's their ads. You know what I mean? But they adapt to the platform. It's just like you don't go do a TVC for Facebook only. You don't go and do a bloody Instagram. You do a little bit content here and there, of course you do. But you don't go in the whole session and shoot a whole thing just for Instagram and then kill that. You don't shoot this for TikTok. So experiment a little bit, play with the content a little bit, be on the platform, have an idea of publish it 3-4 times a month. You know what I mean? Be there, and I would say run your ads. Yeah.
Well, that's a good. So you don't need specific TikTok platform specific ads. You're saying you can adapt assets from other places. Obviously, still be mindful about the platform. What about, I'm seeing like a lot about like the sort of challenge concept or use of influencers. What's your take on those as additives into a TikTok plan?
Yeah, man, this is pretty much the secret sauce of them, you know. Like I just think that's stupid. Anyone going there and say TikTok it's revolutionary and TikTok is different than everything you've seen, that's bollocks, man. It's not. You know, there is absolutely a slightly different way to absorb and to adapt and to engage with the content. But man, it's not transforming shit, you know, it's not transforming anything. It's just a really intense way to consume. But they do have a secret sauce, and they do have a slightly different way to do things. And these things are the hashtag challenge. So the most successful campaigns I've seen so far, the most successful brands on the platform, like you get Walmart. Walmart is killing on the platform as a retailer, you know. They're doing branded, they're doing long and they're doing short, they're doing both at the same time, and they're doing both really well. So they had this thing called Black Friday campaign called Deal Drop Dance. And the way I'm seeing like the perfect combination is they do their own content. So Walmart kicks off with their own content. This could be anyone, could be GB Hi-Fi, could be any retailer here in Australia, could be Kmart, you know? So you launch your own video, okay, with your hashtag challenge. These videos it's set as the seed, as the example, as the benchmark of what others should be copying. You know what I mean? So that's your initial staged content. You get a hashtag challenge where you teach people what they should be doing. A hashtag challenge is pretty much what the name says. You build a hashtag that's proprietary to you. You own the hashtag with a challenge, and normally challenges are dancing challenge. You need to do some movements to promote certain things. Then you get influencers, what they call content creators. You get those people, you get half dozen of them, you get them and you pay them, you get them to do your hashtag challenge. So suddenly you have half dozen people doing that. And that sets the scene for all the content creators or people to come up with their own content based on their original one. And then what you do is you top up your own content, perhaps your content influencers, your content creators with advertising. So summary, you do yours to set as the stage, you pay content creators to do, so you buy them to do their own creative, but also for media, and you pump up with media, and in the end, you can do a prize orientated. So someone might win, I don't know, $500 or 50 voucher, someone might win ocean spray juices or things like that, you know. So that's how you play on that.
Gotcha. That's so interesting.
But it costs money. It costs money, man. Sorry, just to give an idea of money. So you're not gonna do a hashtag challenge here in Australia for less than, let's say, 100K, a whole thing combined. That's why you don't see that many just yet, because 100K in America might not be that much money for medium-sized advertising. But for some of us, it might be the whole digital budget, man, in media, you know?
Yeah.
So the best way to start is just then you do your own content and you get some advertising behind, and you can do like for 5-10K.
Yeah, well, actually, so that's probably worth digging into a little bit. It's like it's 100K, that's probably substantial. That's not like, if you go to this 70-20-10 model of budgeting and assuming TikTok's a new channel, so it's fitting the 10, a lot of people don't have 100K as that 10. That's like the 100K is more like the 70%. So what would be your advice if you're like someone listening to the session this morning and you're thinking about embarking on TikTok? What are some of the key things you would say in terms of putting your toe in the water and getting going? Like, is it a now thing? Is it a later thing? And if you are saying, okay, give it a shot, what are some of the key things to think about?
Well, I would say it's the now thing for most of the retailers. If you are in the business of selling to 50 years plus, maybe it's not a now thing for you, but most retailers are not on that, right?
Mhm.
So it is a now thing, and I would say that you put on the top of your innovation the Coca-Cola structure of advertising, where you need to start to build the future right now and you dedicate a small amount of your budget for that thing.
Mhm.
So my suggestion is you start small, man. You
Mhm.
just get the channel, get someone to champion the channel internally out of your social media or digital team or even your agency, set up something, run a couple of ads there. Doesn't need to be big budgets. You can put a couple of thousands. On that perspective, you can move a little bit of budget from your Instagram or Facebook if you need to. You can move a little bit of that just as experimentation and pay attention to the metrics around branding. I would suggest they start with the branding thing, start with the reach of anything you need to put it out there so you can drive consideration. It's a good time now for Christmas approaching. Mid next month, we start planning for shopping. It's a great time to get into the shopping list. We know that we in Australia, depending on what we're shopping, we shortlist 3 retailers to compare prices before starting jumping Google and comparing products, delivery, and price. So you should get on that list, and TikTok can be one of those platforms you can use for that list. So I would say start thinking about the long term. Now it's being top of the pyramid as innovation, perhaps moving to meet the funnel next year.
Great.
And that's probably the best way to start.
Awesome. I want to leave a couple of minutes for a Q&A. Does anybody have any questions?
Good question would be what the hell he's saying. Like, I cannot understand it. Next webinar, can we have captions? Can I have captions for the next webinar? Yeah, man, it's yeah, I would say now the access share horse is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for challenger brands as well to be punch above their weight on that thing, selling themselves rather than selling the category, right? Because the category winners are always the big brands. So it's a great opportunity. You have a low number of advertisers in the platform.
Mhm.
You have a huge number of people using.
Yeah. It
And
seems
that's
like actually a
effective.
relatively low barrier to entry. So basically kind of summarizing some of the key points, 6 million people on the platform, 1 in 4 are on that and not on the other. So you've got some white space there. Great opportunity for cost-effective reach because there's not a lot of competitors on there, and it's pretty ripe for that as well. And you can put your toe in the water. Yes, you could do 100 grand and go crazy and go really big on it with, challenge strategies and that type of thing. But there is using existing assets and giving that a shot as well. And this platform is going to evolve. Like you mentioned, some of the cases where you can have more direct shopping and that type of thing. There'll be more of that as well. So we've got a question here from Tiff. Do you need to set up organic TikTok to activate paid advertising for TikTok?
Yeah, Tiffany. Yes and no. You can do with both options. If you're doing an IO, an insertion order directly with TikTok, and that's a minimum buying is 15,000 in ads, you can have. You don't need to have an organic account. But let me tell you, Steve, this was one of my biggest mistakes when I did BMW Mini campaign, because we didn't set up an organic. We wanted just to test the platform. We run really well, and we have Our metrics, so you know, our metrics, we compare our metrics to Facebook, and our metrics on TikTok, they delivered higher than Facebook, just as a channel metrics like retention, viewership rate, attention, like all these channel orientated. We ranked, the TikTok gave us a better rate than Facebook, and mini BMW Facebook, it's a really rich, it's a really rich audience. So the biggest mistake we done, I would say, for the mini BMW campaign was the fact that we didn't have an organic. And the mistake came that we could not go back looking different numbers. And because we got into medium viewerships, the following content that we're doing now, activating now, lost their authority and the credibility that came from like having millions of views before. But it's not critical mistake. It wasn't a critical mistake. It was just a mistake that I would run. Now, if I had to run now again, I would run an organic and sponsor like boosts that you do on Facebook and Instagram.
Right on. All right, Lucio, we're out of time for this session, but thank you very much. I think that was really good, some really good thoughts, insights throughout the whole piece there. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everybody for joining.
Thanks, man. That was been a pleasure. And anyone interested, just follow me on Instagram or invite me on Instagram, Lucio Ribeiro, Ribeiro. Thank you, man. Good luck for all of you.
All right, very good. Thanks.
Bye-bye.